Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sim Gill. I'm the Salt Lake County District Attorney. As we are speaking, our office is in the process of filing 2 counts of attempted aggravated murder and 1 count of first-degree felonies, 1 count of restricted possession of a dangerous weapon, a 3rd-degree felony against one Peter Michael Larson. And before I talk about that a little bit, I want to also thank the great efforts of the West Valley City Police Department and their detectives and our prosecution team. It is imperative to recognize that these are allegations only, and there is a presumption of innocence that applies here, and it applies to Mr. Larson, and Mr. Larson is presumed to be innocent of these offenses. We are basically basing the filing of our charges on the following probable cause as established by the efforts of Detective Fear from the West Valley Police Department and on the information collected by the West Valley Police Department. The statement of West Valley Police Officer Mock that on July 13th, 2026, officers were dispatched on a report of someone being stabbed at Valley Fair Mall at 3601 South Constitution Boulevard in Salt Lake County. Upon arrival, Peter Michael Larson was in custody. SS, who is was one of the victims, was located near a kiosk lying on the floor covered in blood. SS was transported to the hospital in Delta condition with multiple stab wounds. The statement of DV, a witness, that she works at a kiosk near the incident, and DV stated that a bald man approached SS and began stabbing SS without stopping. DV stated that people tried to help SS, but the bald man wouldn't stop, so people began to throw items at him to try to get him to stop. And SS was just sitting there, not doing anything, never acted angry or aggressive towards the bald man. The statement of NP, another witness, that he and his wife were at the mall when they heard someone scream. NP stated that he was a male in blue clothing attacking another male with a knife. NP stated that he didn't know what caused the altercation. Multiple people, including NP, attempted to restrain the male with the knife. NP stated that he was positioned in front of the suspect while another person held him from behind. NP attempted to grab the knife from the suspect's hand, but the suspect twisted the knife towards NP's wrist. NP punched the suspect and told him to drop the knife. NP stated that after the 3rd punch, the suspect dropped to the ground unconscious and released the knife. NP described the knife as a black pocket knife with a short blade, possibly with brass knuckles attached. The statement of LN, another witness, that she was working in a store in the mall near the incident. LN stated that she was at the cash register when she heard screaming. LN stated that she looked out and saw a man stabbing SS. SS was defending himself with his hands, and only the male with the knife had a weapon. SS was screaming and telling him to stop. LN ran to help and began throwing things at the person stabbing SS. Then 2 other people stepped in and stopped the man with the knife. The statement of PB, another witness, that he was inside Bath and Body Works when he heard screaming. PB observed a male, later identified as Larson, holding a knife that had a brass knuckle handle, black in color, with approximately 4-inch blade. Larson held the knife in his right hand and was stabbing SS all over his body. SS was on his knees attempting to grab Larson during the attack. PB approached Larson and told him to stop stabbing SS. PB then grabbed Larson's wrist, holding the knife, and restrained Larson with his other hand. PB instructed bystanders to grab the knife from Larson's hand. Larson refused multiple commands to drop the knife. PB stated that when Larson would not release the knife, another bystander struck Larson, knocking him out. The statement of SS, the victim, that he was working at a kiosk in Valley Fair Mall when Larson approached him asking for water. SS told Larson he didn't have a separate water available. Larson then asked SS where he was from, and SS responded, India. Larson asked SS if he was a Muslim. and SS confirmed that he was. Larson then said, quote, "Everything is like Jesus Christ," end quote, and then began stabbing SS. SS stated that Larson stabbed him in the neck and chest two to three times. SS attempted to stop Larson during the attack and got cut on his hand. SS confirmed that Larson did not take anything from him and did not demand anything. SS had approximately a dozen stab wounds to his body. SS had a wound to his scalp, multiple wounds on the front and back of his chest, and had a fractured scapula. The majority of the wounds were onto the left side of his chest and left arm. SS had laceration on his hand, forearms, and damage to his tendons. An X-ray showed fluid in SS' chest, and hospital staff were unsure if the blood that drained into his chest, or it was blood that drained into his chest, or if his heart was cut and was bleeding. The statement of WM, who is the second victim in this matter, that he is a friend with SS. Just as a side note, he was just coincidentally there, and he knew SS, and he was friends with the victim. That he is friends with the SS. SS stated that he was at the mall, and he heard. WM stated that he was at the mall, and he heard SS' voice. He heard SS yelling for God and for his mother. WM saw people rushing away and saw SS being held by the neck and being stabbed. WM rushed to help SS, and while attempting to get Larson off SS, he was also cut on the left arm by Larson. WM stated that when Larson was being restrained by other males, Larson pointed the knife at WM and said, "You are next," quote, "You are next," end quote. Post Miranda, Larson was asked to explain what happened. Larson said that he planned the night before to go to the mall to make an exhibition of Muslims and hopefully be a catalyst so people would rid the country of Muslims. Larson stated that he rode his scooter to Valley Fair Mall, and he chose the location because he knew there were Muslims there. Larson went to the movie theater and watched the movie until the shops opened. After the movie, Larson stated that he purchased a knife described as having finger holes like a brass knuckle with an American flag design on it. Larson stated that he knew the victim was Muslim because he had lived near the area and had spoken with him before. Larson went to the victim's kiosk and chose the victim because he was able to reach him at the kiosk as he was sitting back in his chair. Larson stated that he has never killed anyone before and he was going to kill SS. Larson said his plan was to decapitate SS and throw his head down the hallway as a sign that the country would not be overruled by Muslims. Larson also stated that he wanted to eat SS' heart to make it something very dramatic. Larson stated that he wanted to do something extreme that would cause people to rise up and take the country back. Larson stated that after the stabbing, he planned to stand there and wait to be arrested. Larson said that if he could go from one Muslim to another in close proximity, he would have killed as many as possible. Larson stated that he wanted his actions to be a catalyst to get people motivated to revolt against what he called a Muslim infestation. Larson stated that Muslims do not blend well with the community because they come in waves and want everyone to be a part of them. And if not, they will take everybody over. Larson stated that he would have preferred that SS die, but if he didn't, at least he did something that people could see. Larson stated, quote, I just did attempted murder. I've never done anything like that before, but I think the country's worth it and there needs to be something done, end quote. Larson stated that Muslims act nice but are here to take over, and he wanted to be a catalyst with strong feelings but knew there were consequences. The detectives also located mall video, surveillance video from that captured the whole incident. Furthermore, in our charging, we give notice that the defendant is a Category 1 restricted person. We give notice that there may be enhanced penalties under the hate crime statute, and we give notice consistent with that requirement. And we give further notice that Larson, on at least 2 previous occasions, has been convicted of a violent felony and committed in either prison or in Utah or an equivalent correctional institute, and that he is therefore a habitual offender, so we give the habitual offender notification. Furthermore, in the charging document, we have requested, consistent with our statutory requirement, that there be a motion for no bail hold on this defendant, and we do it on the following grounds. The defendant is now charged with a felony while on parole for a felony conviction in cases 221-906-6835 and 211-911-428, and there is a substantial evidence to support the current charges. The defendant is further charged with 2 first-degree felonies, and based upon the above probable cause statement, there is substantial evidence supporting the charges and clear and convincing evidence that the defendant would constitute a substantial danger to any other individual or community, or is likely to flee the jurisdiction of the court if released on bail. In this case, we further point out that the defendant made a decision to go to the mall to kill Muslims. On the day of the incident, the defendant rode his scooter to Valleyfair Mall. After watching a movie, he purchased a knife from a shop in the mall and went up to the victim, who was sitting on his kiosk in a chair. The victim and the defendant conversed for a while, and after the victim confirmed he was Muslim, the defendant began stabbing the victim. Bystanders stepped in to get the defendant off the victim. Another victim, a friend of the stabbed victim, was cut in the process, and when the defendant looked at him, he pointed the knife at him and told him he was next. The defendant stated in his post-Miranda interview that he believes that he is a catalyst and that he intends to kill Muslims. The defendant talked at length of ridding the country of Muslims, and while he never has tried to kill someone before, felt that this was necessary to get people to rise up and take the country back. Additionally, a family member of the defendant stated that if the defendant is released, the defendant will hurt more people, as the defendant believes all the negative propaganda that is being posted on social media about Islam and Muslim people. The defendant also, the family member said, the defendant also has racist views on Mexican and African American people, and the defendant poses a substantial danger to the community if released, and has the potential to cause harm to others. So based on due to the serious nature of the allegations and the substantial danger the defendant has demonstrated he poses to the community, we're requesting that he be also held without bail. With that, I'm happy to answer some limited questions. Yes.
Pursuing an enhanced hate crime charge?
So in Utah, the statute has a notification of that, which is we are given notification on that, and it just serves as an aggravating factor. So that we're required to give that notice, and as I stated in our charging document, we have given that notification.
So why hate crime though? You said before that Utah's hate crime statute is toothless, right?
Yes.
And victim targeting is more the appropriate.
The term is sometimes used synonymously. It is the victim targeting offense, which is / hate crime, and it does. You're right. It gives us the ability to enhance misdemeanors only, but it doesn't give us the authority to do that for felonies. Although in the statute it says that by giving notification, it can be an aggravating factor for purposes of sentencing for the judge, and that's exactly what we're doing, is following the statutory requirement that we're doing under the limited authority that we do have under Utah.
Right, so it's already a first-degree felony, 2 counts.
Yeah.
But so what does calling it a hate crime, putting that enhancement?
Well, it is the same basis as what we argued when we were trying to change the law, which is that allegations of hate crime are uniquely different from all other kinds of crime. Because when you have hate crimes, there are 3 kinds of victims: the person who is targeted, and the person who suffers the injury, and then the second victim often is the community that person belongs to, and the third is often the victim our community. When we have this kind of conduct, that there is no accountability for what motivates that crime. So that is the limitations that the state legislature has given us, but I think it is important to recognize what the nature of this particular crime was, consistent with the facts that we've outlined in our probable cause.
So to be clear then, in this case, it doesn't make a difference if you use that notification of a hate crime, it's still an aggravated.
It is attempted aggravated, but we are required to give that notification to be able to argue that it's an aggravating factor at sentencing.
So, yes.
So it's a notice requirement, right? Just like we are obligated to give notice that he's a restricted person, which we have. Just like we're obligated to give notice that he's also an habitual offender. And the impact of that then becomes that as a habitual offender, potentially, there is no opportunity for probation or parole. It becomes a sentencing, that prison is the only sentence that's available. But those are objective obligations that we have in our charging document, consistent with what the law requires us to do.
Are you allowed to say anything about what was happening to this guy this time? Because he's habitual, but this is a pretty severe escalation from his previous crimes.
Again, as I outlined in our charging document, that he has been previously convicted, and that's what leads to that. As is already, I think, common knowledge, that he was sent to prison on threatening law enforcement officers. Our office prosecuted and convicted him of that, and he was sent to prison and then subsequently released from prison.
The probable cause statement says that he's a substantial danger based on his ideologies and pre-planned mass casualty events. It sounds like you've spoken to his ideologies. What were the plans for these mass casualty events?
Well, I think that's the broader language, but the probable cause statement identifies that he was identifying Muslims and he wanted to kill as many Muslims as he could, and that was his objective.
Is that based on things he said and you questioning him, or
As
further evidence you plan?
Again, everything that I've read to you is what is in our probable cause, is in the basis of the interview that was done with him and the admissions that he made post Miranda, as we outlined in our probable cause statement.
Well, and it sounds like that interview also, you gathered information from the family member.
Again, that is so not that interview. The totality of the investigation identified multiple witnesses, footage, and also for the purposes of our request for the no bail hold, we list in there a broad evidence of why there is justification. We need to explain why that no bail hold is appropriate. We believe there are two reasons when we made that request. One is felony on felony, which gives us an opportunity to do a no bail hold, that he was on probation or parole on a felony when he committed this felony. And the second one, because he continues to be an ongoing risk to our community, given what he has said and what we have been able to gather to communicate with the court to make that request for a no bail hold.
Just to be clear, the second count of attempted ag murder was the guy you said you're next?
Yes,
He wasn't really hurt.
he was cut in his arm, and he is also Muslim, and he knew him from the mosque and is a friend of the victim in this matter as well.
He knew the suspect from the mosque?
No,
Or he just knew
the friend knew the victim from that. It just happened to be that he was there and he recognized the voice of his friend calling out in pain when he was being attacked. Yes.
How many times have you filed for hate crime enhancement charges in the past?
We have filed as many times that the evidence has allowed us to and has been supported by that. We've done it both in the context of enhancements, but where it is, we follow our state statutory requirements. And again, in our charging document, we've given notification of that.
And when the family member mentioned that he has also racist views on Mexican and African American people, based on your investigation, was that based on posts this person made?
Again, I'm not going to go into that. That was used for the purposes of the no bail hold as the information we gathered to make our case to the court that this person should not be released, consistent with the state statute requirement.
You say that the suspect knew the victim and had spoken to him in the past. Do you know where they interacted and what those interactions
Again, the victim has worked there, and again, that section is from the statements from the alleged defendant, that he says that he knew that there would be Muslims there. He communicates that he knew who the victim was, but that's based on what he has communicated to us. Yes?
The witnesses that stepped in, how do you see their role? Good Samaritans? Did they potentially save this man's life?
Yeah, all of the above. I think that it took tremendous courage. They, I think, are civilian heroes. They saw what was a violent act allegedly occurring before them, and they responded. But for their intervention, it could have been a very different scenario. We can all speculate about that. But for their specific conduct, as it was a group of people who came together to the aid of this one person. Yeah, to me, they are heroes, and they are people who helped save this life, or maybe injury and risk to other people.
And so, to be clear, we won't expect any charges?
I am not out of this office.
Could we see
Yeah.
more charges against Larson as you dig into digital footprints, anything that he's made comments online?
I think that would be purely speculative on my part. What we're here is based on what we have been presented and what we're filing based on that. Any other questions? I just want to take 1 second to just, separate from this case, I just want to take a second to make another just comment. I had the opportunity to go and, over the last several days, meet with the community from the Utah Islamic Center. I joined them for Friday prayers this afternoon, and as you can imagine, that there is ongoing concern for that community, that they're impacted by that. And I think it's just important to know that we are a diverse people. Our community is the product of our rich cultures and traditions, and that is what really serves as our ethos for that community and our community at large. And the stranger is welcomed here. And you know, I had there is ongoing concern, but there's also incredible resiliency. And as I told them, that they know that they're not alone. And as late as last night, I took a call from a person in our community who's a businessman, and who said that he has 3 children, but his middle child is more ethnic looking than the other. Should he be feared for their safety? And I just want to say that for our community, that we are together, this resilient, and they will get the support from this office and from others in our community. So do not lose hope. And we are better than that, because we are better, and we can overcome sort of the rhetoric and the stuff that is going around, and that does not define who we are as a community and who we are as a nation. So I just wanted to say that to them, because I know there are some concerns for them and for many others in our community, and that was important to just reassure them that we have law enforcement, we have other folks who are here, and we are here to serve them. Okay? Thank you.